Imagine you're sitting inside an airplane. Outside, the fog is so thick that you can't see anything through the window. Suddenly, a massive Boeing 747 appears directly in front of you, racing toward your aircraft at full speed. Within seconds, a deafening explosion engulfs the entire airport in flames. Just one misunderstanding, and 583 people lose their lives. This isn't the plot of a movie, it's the true story of the deadliest aviation disaster in history. On March 27, 1977, everything seemed normal at Los Rodeos Airport on the Spanish island of Tenerife. It was a small regional airport that handled only a limited number of flights each day. That afternoon, two giant Boeing 747s arrived there. One was KLM Flight 4805 and the other was Pan Am Flight 1736. Both were carrying hundreds of passengers to different destinations. No one could have imagined that within a few hours, these two aircraft would become part of history. Earlier that day, a bomb exploded at a nearby airport, forcing authorities to temporarily close it for security reasons. As a result, several incoming flights were diverted to Tenerife. The small airport quickly became overcrowded, with aircraft parked everywhere. What had been an ordinary day suddenly turned into a logistical nightmare. Then the weather took a dramatic turn. A dense blanket of fog rolled across the airport, reducing visibility to almost zero. Pilots could barely see the runway ahead. Unlike today's airports, there were no advanced ground radar systems to track aircraft movements. Air traffic controllers and pilots had to rely entirely on radio communication.
KLM 4805, taxi and hold. Roger, KLM 4805 holding. Pan Am 1736, continue taxi. Roger, continuing taxi, KLM 4805, standby.
No one knew that within minutes, those radio transmissions would become the key factor in one of history's greatest disasters. The KLM aircraft lined up on the runway, preparing for takeoff. At the same time, the Pan Am aircraft was still taxiing along the very same runway, trying to reach the correct exit. Then came a critical radio exchange.
KLM 4805, standby. Tower, we're still on the runway. Roger, understood.
Because of overlapping transmissions and unclear communication, the KLM captain believed he had been cleared for takeoff. In reality, he was supposed to wait just a few more seconds. And then, the most terrifying moments in aviation history began. The KLM Boeing 747 accelerated down the runway at full power. Meanwhile, the Pan Am aircraft was still directly ahead. Suddenly, both crews saw each other through the thick fog. The Pan Am pilots desperately tried to turn away, while the KLM captain attempted to lift the aircraft into the air before impact, but it was already too late. Seconds later, the two Boeing 747s collided with unimaginable force. The impact ripped both aircraft apart, creating a massive fireball that consumed the runway. Thick, black smoke filled the sky as explosions echoed across the airport. Everyone aboard the KLM aircraft was killed instantly. A small number of passengers on the Pan Am flight managed to escape through the flames, but most were trapped inside the burning wreckage. In total, 583 people lost their lives, while only 61 survived. When investigators examined the tragedy, they discovered that there wasn't a single person to blame. Instead, a combination of factors created the perfect disaster: dense fog, an overcrowded airport, confusing radio communication, and one critical decision made just seconds too early. Nearly 50 years have passed since that tragic day, yet one question still remains. What if the KLM captain had waited just 10 more seconds? What if the radio transmission had been perfectly clear? Would 583 people still be alive today? We'll never know the answer. But one thing is certain. This disaster changed aviation forever. It transformed pilot training, radio communication procedures, and runway safety standards around the world, making air travel safer for millions of people. If you enjoy true stories, aviation documentaries, and fascinating historical events, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because the next story might be even more unbelievable.